Buenos bitches, bienvenidos. My name is Daljiimarax. If you are new here, I am your new favorite solo travel channel. I already made the decision for you, boo. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and now you're part of the family, boo. Let's get into it. So you want to be a part of the popping people at the airport and go ahead and walk through the TSA and not have to take your laptop out your bag and take your shoes off and not have to stand in that long ass custom lines when you come back in the country. I got you, boo. Today we're going to talk about how to get global entry. I just went through the whole process, took a couple months, but baby, we here now, okay? So what is global entry? Global entry allows you to basically skip the customs line when you come back from an international trip if you are a US citizen back into the States. So if you take your ass, if you're a US citizen and you take your ass to London and you have to come back into the United States, you usually have to stand in a super long line. You grab your luggage, you stand in the line, they ask you all of these questions about why'd you leave, who was you with, how long was you there, what your daddy name is, what's your maiden name, how many kids. Like, they always ask you all these questions just to get, make sure you're not a criminal, make sure you're not coming back, committing crimes. But that line could be up to 2 hours long. And that could be the reason you miss your connecting flight, or that could just be a pain in the ass. You already exhausted. You was just gone for a 2 week, checking out the London Bridge, eating beans in your breakfast and all type of shit. And you just want to go home. Don't nobody want to deal with all that. Also, when you on your way to London, you don't want to have to take your shoes off and your laptop out and your vlogging camera and your battery pack and all that just to get through TSA. You just want to go, get on by, scan your little ticket, eat Chick-fil-A while you wait for your flight to board and go about your business. You ain't trying to be dealing with all that. So the things you want to make sure that you have ready are your Tsa Pre-Check that come along with your global entry. So global entry allows you to skip that line, and it also provides you with Tsa Pre-Check for extra $15, okay? So basically, when I come back into the United States, I can skip this line. I can show, my little global entry pass that I have, and I can just grab my check luggage and go on home or go on to my connecting flights. So I do not have to stand through that custom line and let them know that I'm not a criminal and I actually left and came how I'm supposed to. Next, Tsa Pre-Check, like I said, you don't have to take your shoes off, you don't have to take your laptop off whenever you are going to a domestic or international flight. You just show them your little Tsa Pre-Check, boo, and you can go on by. Saves so much time, especially one of those people that like to show up at the airport like 20 seconds before the flight boards. Couldn't be me. But anyway, how you do it. So first things first, you need to have $100. Okay, if you don't got $100 ready, what are you doing? Like, I guess you could start your application, but nothing moves until you pay your money. So make sure you have $100 in your bank account. And once you have that, you want to go to the Trusted Travelers Program website. Just type that in on Google and the website will pop up. There you will have a couple of options on the different things you could pay for. You could just get Tsa Pre-Check by itself. You can get some type of card that allows you to like drive through to like the United States and like Mexico or Canada or something like that. We get global entry, which includes Tsa Pre-Check. The reason why you want to get global entry, even if you only travel international once a year, every other year, is because it comes with Tsa Pre-Check. So say you do more domestic traveling than you do international, at the very least you'll have both. Because if you just get Tsa Pre-Check, you just get Tsa Pre-Check. Global entry includes it, and there's only a $15 difference. You was already going to use $50 to buy Chick-fil-A. Just say no to Chick-fil-A and put that towards your $100 for your global entry, okay? So you got your $100. You go ahead to the website. You want to make sure that you understand that this is going to be a super long application, okay? So the application basically is asking you all types of personal information to make sure that they can thoroughly do a background check. Obviously your social security number, your ID, things about where you work and where have you worked in the last couple of years, where have you lived in the last couple of years. So make sure you remember your addresses and your past jobs. And then they just do your standard background check to make sure that you're not a criminal. This could take weeks, this can take months. This is why I said you might as well just wait until you have your $100, because none of this can move until you have that money. You have to send your $100 and you have to fill the application out. And then what happens is, while you're waiting for your background check, it's called conditional approval. This means once you get your background check complete and everything goes fine, you get to conditional approving. And that means that you can now apply for an in-person interview to get your global entry. So to get global entry, you fill out an application, pay your money, you do an interview where they ask you a couple questions about yourself, again, to make sure you're not a criminal, and then you get your global entry. So mine took a total of 3 months for all of this to happen. It took about a month for my global entry background check to complete. It took about another month for me to find a freaking interview that was gonna, you know, be able to get me in enough time, because sometimes you may check the website and then you don't have another interview available for another 6 months. And for me, it was 1 month. So 1 month to get the background check, 1 month to find an interview, and then the interview was actually taking place at the end of the 3rd month. So what you want to do once you get to your approval, whether that takes a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, is you are going to go to the website and try to find the airport that is closest to you. They're not at every single airport in the United States, so that's the unfortunate part. You may have to travel some ways to get your global entry, and you have to find an interview date. When I looked and I got approved in June, the closest available date was in November. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. The next interview date was in freaking November. So I was like, I don't got time for that, but I'm just gonna secure this spot just in case. So what I did is I went ahead and scheduled for that interview in November, but I checked the global entry website every week just to make sure, you know, sometimes people cancel their appointments. Sometimes stuff comes up and there's a no call, no show. So interviews come up all the time. About a month after that, I saw one for the end of the next following month. So I was like, boom, let me go ahead and book that, and got my global entry interview. Went to my global entry interview. I literally just needed my passport and ID. They only asked for my passport though. I thought that they were going to ask me questions about being a criminal and confirm information that I put into my application, but he literally was asking me about my dog. How was your day going? Oh, you got a dog? Cool, I got a dog. And I'm like, this is what y'all brought me up here for? Y'all couldn't just take, like, the background check wasn't enough? When I tell you I was in there maybe 10 minutes, it was maybe 10 minutes. Getting into the freaking Hartsfield-Jacksonport parking lot took longer than the interview itself. Everybody was super cool. I was in and out, and then 2 weeks later I got my global entry card, but you don't need that to use your global entry. And I also got my Tsa Pre-Check number while I was there as well. So that's basically the entire process to getting global entry. One of the great things about this is, like I said, even if you find an interview time and it's months out and you're like, dang, I'm going to be going out the country before then, book it anyway, because like I said, people cancel their appointments all the time. So just be regularly checking the website. Number two, if you do have an international trip coming up before an appointment and you've already got conditional approval, this only happens if your background check was approved and you have a conditional approval. When you come back from your international trip into the United States, if that airport has global entry interviews, you can just do a walk-in. You don't even have to have regards for the interview that you booked months in advance. So you could just be like, hey, I'm going, you know, I have an interview planned for 3 months from now, but I'm going to an international trip next week. On my way back, the airport got global entry interview, so I'm gonna just walk in there and just do that. Since I already got my conditional approval, now you got global entry for your next trip, and you don't even have to care about that next appointment that you got in 3 months. And then my favorite thing about this whole process is you get emails every time an update happens. So you don't have to worry about forgetting about, oh, is my approval ready? Did I fill out all the paperwork? They were going to email you every time there's an update made. And that's the absolute thing I love, because you can forget about this stuff, but you can forget about due dates. You can misplace if you wrote something down. You're always going to get an email every time there's an update on your account, especially when it comes time to renew this in a couple of years. I forgot to mention, you get global entry for 5 years, which is my favorite part. So every 5 years you only have to pay $100 to get Tsa Pre-Check and global entry, and you telling me you don't want to do that because it costs too much money, take too much time? You're crazy. So like I said, even if you only travel once a year, every other year internationally, this is worth the $100, because that one time you traveling, you could have to stay in that custom line for 2 hours, and you don't want to do that. I'm telling you, that is the worst thing to have to do. It's so irritating. So I hope that this was very helpful. If you have any more questions about global entry, let me know. But this is the smoothest process. It's a lot of steps, I guess, and it takes a lot of time. But baby, once you got that Tsa Pre-Check and you got that global entry, baby, you feel invincible in that airport, okay? You can just walk on by. You can show up 30 minutes before this flight time to board like y'all like to do, trifling, and just go about your business. Like, it just makes traveling so much better when you don't have to worry about them long ass lines. In these days, that's definitely needed. The way that these airlines been going these past couple of months, child.